Hello, I'm Dr. Mary Meehan. As a Catholic university, Seton Hall University is committed to supporting educational achievement within our community. That's why we're proud to support the important educational programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation.
This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by United Airlines, New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation. Seton Hall University. Come see what great minds can do. Hackensack Meridian Health, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, NJM Insurance Group, and by Choose New Jersey. Our mission is attracting companies to the Garden State. Promotional support provided by Observer New Jersey Politics and by Commerce Magazine.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
I'm Steve Adubato. This is the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of New York City, Lincoln Center. We are pleased to welcome for the first time with us, it will not be the last, a guy I've watched for a long time. He knows sports and he knows a lot more than that. He's Adam Schefter, NFL Insider, ESPN, author of a compelling book called The Man I Never Met, a memoir. Good to see you, Adam.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate having me.
Thank you for all the work you do, not just for those of us who are sports fans, but appreciate a powerful story. This book, the special that you did, that I happened to see, I tell you, I watched it with my wife and our family. It's powerful, the premise.
Well, basically, on the 15th anniversary of 9/11, we did a video tribute on ESPN, which was on the opening day of the 2016 NFL season. That was a tribute to my wife's late husband, Joe Mayo. And it was our way of honoring him and paying tribute to my wife, basically giving people an idea of who Joe Mayo was. And look, we are here in New York. We all know what happened on 9/11, and there were thousands of people who were negatively impacted by that day and will always be, and it's a day that they will never, ever forget. This was a way, I think, to basically tell Joe's story. And like I said, there are a lot of stories that day.
Sure.
Joe's is not any more special or different or unique than anybody else's. There are a ton of sad stories, but Joe was a great man. He was a golden boy, and his life was snuffed out at the age of 32, and he and my wife moved to a new house in New York, moved in August of 2001, and a month later, he's gone, and she's left behind with herself, their 15-month-old son, Devin, and their new home.
And you don't meet Sherry till a couple years later?
6 years later.
6 years later. Describe, well, I saw her in the film, but when you met her, what attracted you to her?
Well, I think one of the things that drew me to her was her strength and her independence and everything that she had been through, all the adversity she had been through. And to me, I had dated often, and I had been looking for that right person. And you always think that it's going to be the perfect person. And then you meet this person, and it's not perfect, but it's perfect for you. And that's sort of one of the premises of the book as well, because it tells a story all about Joe. And it brings him back to life as best as we can. And it tells the story of Sherry's toughness, but also some of the personal travails that I went through trying to meet a woman like Sherry. And when I first met her, guys are physical creatures. I was instantly drawn to her and basically had great admiration for everything that she had been through and everything that she had done in her life.
But you know, the other thing when I saw the film that really struck me is that Joe's presence is everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere in your home together, in your life together. There's no part of you, at least my interpretation, that in any way was looking to, tries to minimize Joe's powerful presence in Sherry's life and in his son's life. And that's your boy.
No, I think a lot of people are on second marriages and
join the club,
strained relationships.
That's
and
me.
It's hard to get everybody together and
That's right.
peaceful existences. And with me, I've welcomed Joe. Like, what am I going to do? Like, this man was there.
Why
He was a
you, though?
great
I'm
man.
sorry for interrupting, man. Why you? By the way, also you have a daughter. I want to be
Yep.
clear. How's your daughter?
Daughter's 10 years old.
Why did you feel that you had this responsibility?
Well, it's not that it's basically what I think anybody would have felt stepping into that situation.
No, I'm
right?
not sure, but go ahead.
Really?
Yeah, because as I was watching it, there was a part of me that was asking what, and I remember texting our executive producer, Jen Eichler, and I said, you got to get him, because I want to understand what is it about Adam that he said, I need to do this? Was he doing it for Shari? Was he doing it for their son? Was he doing it for himself? All of it? It's powerful
All
to
of
me.
those things. I think, again,
If you hadn't done it, let's agree, it wouldn't have happened. That story would not have been told.
oh,
Joe's story.
no, and I was honored to be able to tell the story of Joe Mayo and the life that he led and the life that was snuffed out. And again, I think what happened was Shari, my wife, is a very private person. And I would say 4 or 5 years into our marriage, she said, your life is very public. Everything you do is public. Your job is done in public. Why don't you ever talk about the fact that you are married to a 9/11 widow or talk about Joe? And I said, I didn't know that you wanted me to.
She brought that up.
She said it to me at one point. I said, well, if you want me to, I'd be honored to. And so I went to ESPN. It had to be maybe a few years into our marriage, Steve, as I think about it, because I pitched to them an idea, hey, could we do a feature on my wife's late husband for the 10th anniversary of 9/11? And they said no.
That's how it winds up 15?
And then 5 years later, I said, hey, you guys want to do a story on Joe Mayo? And initially they said no. And then there's a great producer, a great storyteller at ESPN named Greg Jewell, and he called me up. He said, I think we can do that story on Joe. And I said, great. And I really, once I heard that, I didn't even know what I was going to do with it. And I remember I was flying home one time, and I was writing out a story and writing out a bunch of lines that I wanted to include in there and things I wanted to say about Joe and the type of man that he was and the man that I never met, and wrote it up, shot the piece over the summer. It ran, and when it ran on ESPN,
Reaction?
was unbelievable. Like, unlike anything I've ever gotten in 28 years in the business. Like, I've worked on a lot of stories over time.
Yeah.
Nothing was like that. The story ran on ESPN Sunday NFL Countdown, and when I got back to my desk, my phone had 50 text messages, emails pouring in, people I didn't know from corners of the world that I didn't know, the White House, Hollywood, sports, other sports. People like, I didn't know that. What a man Joe was. Your wife.
Sorry for interrupting. Did that drive the book?
Yeah, that.
Hey, like, I'm gonna write this book.
And again, and then there were people who said to me, well, you should turn it into a book. Oh, I don't know if there's a book there. And they said, no, there's a book there. Okay, well, if you want to make it a book, let me know. And then I had a marketing guy who met with a couple of publishing houses, and St. Martin's Press was kind enough to.
But you've written many books.
Yeah, this is my 5th book. But this is a very different book than any.
Shari's reaction?
Well, initially, Shari does things on her schedule when she's ready. And so it wasn't like I'm writing the book and I finish chapter 1 and I say to her, honey, you want to read chapter 1? Because that really wouldn't work, and that's not who and what she is. So she knew I was working on it, and she was good with me working on it, but she wasn't reading any of it. And all of a sudden, one day in August, last summer, about a month before the book is coming out, she said, she picks up the book, the galleys of it, and says, oh yeah, she starts reading. And I was honestly surprised because I didn't know if she would read it, or when she would read it, and what her reaction to reading it would be. And when she finished the book, basically, I remember her coming upstairs and she was crying. And she was crying at all that she had lost, all that Devin, our son, had lost, all that Joe had lost, the way that their life had changed. And I was truly sorry to see her crying, but I also knew that the message then had worked, and it was what we wanted to achieve.
And by the way, Joe's parents are included in the book as well.
Yeah, they're great people. And
how's Devin doing? I'm sorry, I'll come back and forth.
Yeah. Well, Devin is a freshman at the University of Michigan.
Wow.
And he's adapting to college life like any other freshman would. It's a tough transition. As a former Michigander myself, somebody who went to that school, I know how tough that could be.
This is right after the Ohio State. I'm sorry that we're taping right after.
That's okay.
Is it okay with that?
Oh, yeah. Steve, hey, listen, I want Michigan to win all the time, but if they don't, I'm not one of these people who is distraught for weeks and months.
Listen, stop. I'm a Rutgers guy. We never win. But I'm sorry. Go ahead. So he's a freshman there.
He's a freshman there, and he's, again, enjoying life at school in Ann Arbor, and I think it's a great place to be. It's a great school. It's what school should be about. And Joe's parents, George and Paula, they live in New Jersey, and we see them when we can, and they'd like to see Devin more. We all would like to see Devin more, but Devin's busy at college right now being a freshman.
And your daughter?
She's 10 years old. She's in 4th grade.
First of all, thank you for the book. Thank you for the story. Thank you for reminding us that so many lives, not just were lost, but families impacted. And
well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
that is one of the ideas of the book, really, is to take people back to that day. And people our age know what it was like. But there are people now who are 20 years old who don't remember or wouldn't know what that day was like and how memorable and impactful it would be, and how many lives were ruined and how many families were ruined that day. And so we tried to recreate some of that in this book, and I hope that we succeeded in that regard.
Adam, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate having me today.
I appreciate having you. Stay right there.
Thank you.
The Man I Never Met. It's a memoir by Adam Schefter. Well done. We'll be right back right after this.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
We're pleased to be joined by Joe Benincasa, President and CEO of an organization called the Actors Fund. Good to see you, Joe.
It's great to see you, Steve.
Describe the organization.
Oh, it's the National Human Service Organization for everyone in the performing arts and entertainment. The Actors Fund name is a little bit of a misnomer. Back in 1882, 136 years ago, everyone in show business was an actor. So we help stagehands, directors, writers, producers, on-air personalities through 25 different services.
What do they need?
We provide. Well, you know, incomes are low for actors and other people working in the industry. So a dancer, an actor, on average will earn between $20,000 and $30,000 a year professionally.
A year.
Yeah, a year.
All that talent.
So they have a hard time qualifying for health insurance, and you know, all of our services are focused on helping them, you know, have a decent life. And
how did you get into this?
You know, it was, I got into it because I'm a nonprofit person. I was head of public relations for the United Way of Tri-State and then Miami. I managed the board at the New York Blood Center, the largest blood center in the world in the 80s. And about 31 years ago, you know, I was producing a lot of public service announcements, and friends like Colleen Dewhurst, Dick Kiley, they all asked me if I'd take a look at the Actors Fund to help reorganize it. That was in 1988. So I told my wife, it's 6 months, it's a volunteer assignment, you know, we'll see how it goes. And I'm so excited about the organization, so excited about the mission of the organization. You know, we provide services in 4 areas. It's direct financial assistance, a variety of social services, career development, helping people in the performing arts develop parallel or second careers. We help them with their health insurance and their health care. We operate housing and affordable housing. We own 7 residences. We're very proud of the one in New Jersey.
Oh, is there one in Englewood?
In Englewood, New Jersey.
Describe that.
It's, we're finishing a $34 million expansion of that home, and it provides 4 levels of care for seniors. One is subacute care, which is brand new for us, skilled nursing care, memory care, you know, and assisted living. It's on a beautiful 6-acre campus.
Taking a look at a shot right over there, I see it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's a gorgeous place. April 25th, we're doing the ribbon cutting. You've got to come out and see it, okay?
That's
it's
fabulous.
A beautiful place.
Let me ask you this. I'm curious about the kinds of issues, particularly in the age in which we're living in, more and more being reported of those who are victims of sexual abuse. For those victims in the quote-unquote entertainment arena, years later, those scars are still there. Mm-hmm. Talk about that, Joe.
You know, we've started a safe workplace program.
A safe workplace.
Right, which includes sexual harassment. The unions and guilds and the theater owners have contracted with us and asked us to help do training. So for Actors Equity Association, the union that represents the theatrical actors, we're doing training, you know, in their offices and on site, backstage, every place, helping people deal with the issues related to sexual harassment. And it's important, and those scars do last forever. And we're all hearing more and more stories about what's happened in the past, you know, as people come up. So we're helping all the unions, guilds, theater owners, studios develop safer workplaces, which means making sure that women and men feel safe at work.
Where's your money come from? I mean, for those of us in public broadcasting, we're, as you well know, you're a supporter of public broadcasting. We are constantly seeking corporate foundation support. You do the same thing?
We do. Our budget is a $43 million budget. We have our residences are funded a lot through affordable housing tax credit syndication, and so our residences, like the one at West 57th Street and 10th Avenue, a 30-story high-rise. Our partner was the related companies. Now we own that building. But it's philanthropic support. It's Medicaid at our nursing home. It's Medicare through subacute care. But it's largely philanthropic support that we rely on. We have a great board. The chairman of our board is the great Brian Stokes Mitchell. You know, we have everyone in entertainment. And the board is represented by the presidents and unions of every major union and guild. So we have everyone at the table thinking about how to help the Actors Fund financially and in terms of creating
It's interesting. One of the other organizations, one of the corporations, United, happens to be an underwriter, supporter of ours. We were told about a partnership that they have. Now, that's an interesting partnership because it allows people to be transported in a way they otherwise would not in a critical way. Talk about that.
You know, we have offices in Chicago, Los Angeles. We provide services in every state.
We're a national organization.
We're a national organization. United helps us transport people who may need nursing care from Los Angeles, Chicago, to our home in Englewood, New Jersey. They help transport our social workers to provide services in Nashville, you know, Las Vegas, any place. So United is an indispensable partner in helping move our services out and around the country.
You know, we're coming on to the back end. Again, I like to say when we're doing programs, this is the end of 18. The fires out in California. There are a lot of people in the industry and others devastated by that. How did your organization get connected to that and involved?
I'm very proud of our organization, our staff. We're very responsive. We're a very nimble organization. As the fires...
Define nimble.
Nimble means that we're quick to respond. Okay, we recognize a problem, working with our other partners, the unions, the guilds, the studio heads. When there's a problem, we're able to respond quickly. We've helped 93 people affected by the wildfires, people who are displaced, coordinating with FEMA.
They have no place to live.
We help them get a place to live. We help offset the expense. Very often between the funding they might get from FEMA, we're able to, through Zelle and any number of ways, get money in their pocket.
I don't think people understand the bureaucracy involved in some of the other stuff. Sorry for interrupting you, Joe, but you try to cut through that?
We cut through it. And you know, our financial assistance program is so terrific because we can cut through it. We can be the bridge to getting the federal support that, you know, that a family or an individual needs. So we're able to respond within hours to people who are displaced through the fires, get them a safe place to live, get them money to buy food, and so we're very...
Last question. Do actors, performers get involved in supporting the organization as well?
Everybody.
Those that are doing well, making money, working, which in that industry, I imagine, is the be it and end all, working.
Yeah. Everybody in the industry supports the industry. They support a lot of great causes. We're one of the great causes that everyone in the industry supports. Now, you know, we are a quiet organization. We don't thump our chest. We don't talk about our organization as much as, you know, we could, I suspect. You know why? Because there's a certain issue of privacy. We want to make sure that we're protecting the privacy.
You don't give out names of people you're helping.
No, we don't. And, you know, the industry is such that there are ups and downs in the industry. So someone who's a star getting an Academy Award one year may need our services the next year.
It's important work. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate you joining us here in public broadcasting here at the Tisch WNET studio. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, we will.
All
Thank
the best,
you, Steve.
Joe. Thanks so much. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Right after this.
To watch more one-on-one with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
The harvest is sacred. The harvest is breath and life and spirit.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Looks like a lot of fun. That was from the Ferryman. This is Justin Edwards. He is in the Ferryman. It is at the Bernard Jacobs Theater on West 45th Street, and you play Tom Kettle?
I do, yes.
Who is Tom?
Tom is, oddly, the only English person in the play. Everyone else in the cast and in the show are from Northern Ireland. It's set in Northern Ireland in the 80s, and I'm the sole...
1981, right?
1981, yeah. And I'm the sole English voice that you hear, which confuses some people because I come out and they think he just can't do the accent. They're the family. There are the main sort of couple that drive the show, Quinn Carney and his wife and his sister-in-law, all live together, and they have 7 children, ranging in age from 15 to I think he's supposed to be 6 months old, the baby. So 7 kids. And then they have 2 cousins that come and join them as well. Plus I live there, plus 2 aunts and an uncle also live in there. It's a very busy.
What about the animals?
Very busy household. And we have rabbits and a goose.
They're not live.
They're real. Yes, I get to play with all the animals.
And
I bring the goose on. And the
how does that
rabbits,
work?
Well, they're very well trained. We have Bill, who's one of the sort of foremost Broadway animal trainers, and they've trained the goose up from birth to be happy around.
What?
Happy around humans. We had a slightly less compliant goose in the London run. It was a little more. They're quite fierce. I don't know if you've ever held a goose.
How big is that goose?
It's about, it's good.
And you have to hold it.
Decent size, yeah. But she's very trained. I can just pick her up, tuck her under my arm, and she attacks my face. But she's pretty good and seems to be.
So the story itself, it's called The Troubles.
Yeah. It's set
in Ireland. So
yeah,
lay that out.
So it's 1981. It's the height of the Troubles and the height of the hunger strikes in Ireland, when a lot of the Irish Republican Army, the IRA prisoners, were on hunger strike to raise awareness of their cause and fighting in that way. So it was a very difficult time within Northern Ireland, and I remember it in a slightly different way because I was sort of 9, 10 years old, and I was on the other side. I was over in the south of England, down in there. So we watched it through a very different sort of prism of events. But it was a hugely important time for the IRA and obviously for the hunger strikers, and the play is set within that context. But the main household, the head of the household, is an ex-IRA soldier who has left and wants to put all of that behind him and lives quietly or peacefully-ish in the country, running his farm. This is harvest day, but obviously the events of his previous life can't be avoided and come back to intrude on the family in kind of extraordinary ways.
It's for those who don't know the history. And by the way, I wonder to what degree people need to know the history of the Irish Republican Army.
Usually, it's not. It's also a huge love story and a huge family story, and it's a massive sort of.
But it's also political.
Unfolding. It is political, but I think you don't have to have a huge understanding or knowledge of the Troubles or of 80s politics or of Irish history to. It helps, but it doesn't. It doesn't hinder you if you don't get it. And I think there's a good guide in the playbill as well, a sort of primer to certain key events or key people within it.
I'm curious about something away from the play for a second. People who have sat in that chair, who perform on Broadway around the corner. We're at 66 and Broadway here in New York. I often ask, and I want to ask you, at what point were you pretty confident, pretty clear that you wanted to be an actor?
I think I was about, I'd say 14, about that age. I was doing plays at school, and the school I was at didn't have much of a kind of theatre department. They weren't very keen on it. It was sort of looked down upon as whatever. But I knew that was what I always wanted to do, and I was frustrated because there wasn't a massive outlet for it within my childhood. So I did. But I think from about then, I think most people do. I don't know if that's the standard.
Even younger.
You get.
We just had a young woman here.
Yes, Christiana Pitts. Yes, I've seen in King
She was little tiny kid.
I think some people know very, very young that is what. I think
you were 14-ish.
I think I was 14-ish, but I loved going to theatre and seeing shows. My mother was a big theatre goer, so I was aware of it as a world as well.
It was part of your world.
Yeah.
By the way, your family is still in England as we speak.
I know. Yes.
What's that? You said it's about a 5-month period.
Yeah,
that you're here?
I've been here September till February. And I've got 2 small children back home who are, missing me. But it's.
How do you communicate with them?
A lot of
FaceTime.
Yeah, a lot of FaceTime, and lots of chatting. They've been out once. They came out for opening night. They're coming out for Christmas, and so I don't go longer than sort of a month without seeing them, which is doable.
By the way, we're taping right before Christmas. We'll be seen after us. The idea of, and I've asked others this before. I asked Christiana this as well. When you came here to New York for the first time, did you have a gig set up?
I just came out for this job. This was arranged as part of the deal.
Hold on, it's your first?
Yeah, it's my first American job and first Broadway show. So yeah.
Describe that.
That's fair. It's pretty extraordinary. Yes, to come out here. I mean, theatres are theatres. You know, when you're on stage in front of 1,000 people, it's the same kind of vibe, the same kind of thing in London and here. It's just the experience here is bigger. The audiences are more vocal. The whole pizzazz of Broadway is a bigger event, obviously, I think, than in London.
London theatre, the reputation of London theatre. I'd be less than honest if I said, my wife and I were in London and we saw theatre. We did not. But theatre in London theater here in New York? Biggest difference is?
The musical side of it. I think Americans do musicals better, much better than
better.
Yeah, there's just the staging, the choreo, everything about it is. I think they, you know, I'll be moaned at for saying this by my English compatriots, but I think it's I think you do musicals better over here. Whereas we have a lot more straight drama in the West End. There are more plays, I think, on than you have here on Broadway, which tends to be slightly dominated by the big hit musicals.
But I'm going to plug one more time, The Ferryman. At the Bernard Jacobs Theater, 242 West 45th Street. Justin Edwards, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Wish you nothing but the best. I know you miss your family.
Oh, I do.
All the best.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. We'll check out next time, one-on-one, from the Tisch WNET studio in Lincoln Center.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by United Airlines, New Jersey Sharing Network, Seton Hall University, Hackensack Meridian Health, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, NJM Insurance Group, and by Choose New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
What can great minds do?
While at Seton Hall, I interned with the Superior Court of New Jersey, and that inspired me to go to law school.
I am a physics and civil engineering major, and I want to work on infrastructure in underdeveloped countries.
I'm the news director at one of the top college radio stations in the country.
I'm working with my professor on research that could help athletes during sudden cardiac events.
I started my own business, Classic Soccer Cleats, and I just sold it to a company in England.
Come see for yourself what great minds can do.